Yo, what's up? It's been a while. I've been procrastinating on YouTube for so long that I literally grew a beard in the meantime, so fast. And I'm finally back to making videos. So, in today's video, I 3D printed a design on a t-shirt. Hold up, that is actually... This is how the story roughly goes. In the beginning of this year, I got into a bunch of rabbit holes like drawing, 3D printing, and Judy Hopps. And one magical day on my YouTube homepage, I had this video by Zach Friedman where he was 3D printing directly onto a shirt. And I found it so cool that I just wanted to try it out for myself. So I bought the filament. The one you kind of have to be using for printing on clothes is TPU, which there's a bunch of plastics called TPEs, and they're basically like stretchy. And TPU is just the one most popular for filaments in 3D printers. The specific filament I'm using in this video is Bambu Labs TPU A95HF. It costs like 36 bucks, I think. This video is going to be split into 6 chapters, and we're currently moving into the second chapter, which is... I keep a sketchbook close to my PC, so that way whenever I feel like it, I can just draw. I'm gonna show you some drawings that I considered for the final design to put on the t-shirt. This one is too weird. This one looks like it was drawn by someone with a mental disorder. This one is too just bad. This one is too simple. This one is too meaningless. I kind of wanted to use this one, but it is not finished and I didn't want to redraw it. I ultimately chose this one. Picking the design was the easy part. Afterwards, I moved the photo into... Basically, I created an exposure layer and maxed out the offset and the gamma correction and adjusted the exposure to the specific photo. And also added a simple desaturation layer. I also prepared the 2 or 3 other designs just in case the coffee mug wouldn't be able to print itself somehow for some reason. I wanted the overall design to be like 6 by 6 centimeters and about this length from the neck. The only thing I was kind of worried about is that I cannot use the 0.2mm nozzle because it's not recommended for TPU. And with the 0.4mm nozzle, there wouldn't be as much detail. I settled on a 0.4mm nozzle because, well, I don't want to fuck up my printer and, well, the detail is just not gonna be as good. Too bad, I guess. After I had the photos ready, I moved them into the I watched the tutorial like 20 freaking times and constantly skipped forwards and backwards just to figure out what the guy was trying to do, and I was trying to follow along. Here's roughly what the process looked like. Looked like.
So I created a plane, added a displace modifier that will offset the brightness and darkness of the image, changed the display value for a reason I don't yet understand, deleted points and vertices that were affected by the displace modifier, made sure it's flat, selected the face, moved to the side, and applied a smooth modifier.
And now you just have to extrude the face and you're all done. Guess who got stuck at the last fucking step? You know the situation where you're trying to learn a new software or something and you are trying to search on YouTube and on everywhere on the internet like how to do the thing, but you cannot search for the damn thing because you don't have the proper terminology and you don't even know what you're actually searching for. That was the situation I was in for the 3 hours, and thank God for DeepSeek because that was actually how I unraveled the entire situation and solved the problem. I don't know what I did, it just suddenly worked. I didn't think I even changed anything. Yeah, so I did all of that. I exported the model and moved it into the bed. Before I actually printed on a t-shirt, I wanted to make sure that the filament is alright because it looked kind of weird out of the box. What the fuck? It looks melted. And I was not sure if it was supposed to look like it. So I printed an octopus from Takopi's Original Sin. So I loaded the filament and printed it with all the default settings and just made sure that everything was of correct value. So printing should be a piece of cake, and luckily it was. The print turned out great, and then it was time to offset the z-axis. Basically, what that means is the z-axis is like up and down dimension, and you have to offset it slightly higher just because if we're gonna have a shirt over and under the bed plate, and we're also gonna have to add some kind of tape onto the bed plate, all of that is gonna add height to the plate. The print turned out great, just as I expected. I specifically chose to not print the coffee glass for 2 specific reasons. The first one is to have an epicer climax of this video, and the second one is that it's an easier shape and therefore it's much faster to print. Like 10 minutes compared to like 40 minutes that would take. And I wanted to have it done quickly because my entire room was messy from all the shit that I needed for 3D printing on a shirt. The print turned out great, a little stringy, but that was to be expected. After searching the net for like 2 hours, I finally found out how to offset the z-axis, and I increased it from -0.2mm to plus 0.21mm. It didn't look that different while printing, but when it finished, there was actually a visible difference. Like the surface was just slightly rougher because the nozzle was was higher, so it didn't like smush onto the bed plate and drag itself along. It just kind of dripped it onto the bed plate, but it still turned out great. For the third test, I actually offset it to 0.5 millimeters, and that one surprised me the most because again, it didn't look like much changed. So alright, so now we're getting to the actual printing. I removed this add-on 3D printed box that I had to remove this mini box because it would get in the way. I added the clamps, 2 on both sides. I covered one side of the bed plate in the tape. In Zach Friedman's video, he specifically says to use carpenter tape. I just used some tape with a rough finish, and I thought that would be good enough. But the reason you need a textured finish on the tape, otherwise the shirt would slip, and whenever the nozzle was dragging along the shirt, it would just move it away and the image would be totally distorted. I was there the entire 40 minutes during the print. I was watching it very carefully, just not for the printer to make any mistakes, so I could turn it off immediately and not risk my entire machine going to slumps. So this is how it looks. Hold up, that is actually decent. Hold up, I can see myself in the mirror. That's so cool. That is so fucking sick. That is so cool. Oh my god. And there was one sentence in Zach Friedman's video that I was really scared of.
If this were a normal shirt, I could have just thrown it in the laundry, but a single trip through the washer and dryer is going to tear this TPU straight off. This is fast fashion, folks.
But I ran it through a washing machine, and the thing survived. I think the design could have been a little more detailed, but for the first run, like, this is everything I could have asked for. I was actually really surprised that it was successful.